Okay.
I move we exit from executive session.
Okay, I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen,
Yes.
is there action?
No action.
All right.
Okay, move that the Board of Commissioners approves the November 5, 2020 regular meeting minutes.
Okay, I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes. Jean?
Morning again. This has been a real moving target, the CARES grants. What is before the board for consideration, and thank you for considering them at the last minute, are two resolutions. One resolution is for the business assistance, and the other is for public assistance. The public assistance should be the amount of $219,4450. There was a first one sent out, and then it's since been corrected. What is really been streamlined on our end, I'll say it that way. There were a lot of things that were asked by a lot of departments and elected officials and boards, some of which required specific narrative as to why. In some cases that's been provided, in other cases it has not. So what was reported at almost $4 million has been scaled down dramatically on the county expense side, which is now considerably less than that. We're at 2.3 million. The Todd alluded to the transfer of money, and some of the difference between what he is transferring and holding and what we're reporting is in the fact that we still have things that are being evaluated and that are still placeholders in the county expense side. I think his number actually reports what we know is going to be expensed with high degree of certainty. I'm taking a little more cautious approach in that, but regardless, we have come today with these two resolutions being able to report to you that we have encumbered or will encumber before the deadline the $8.6 million that has come to Portage County as CARES funding. The two resolutions, one is very extensive and it includes all the businesses. The reason I want to point that out is some of the businesses, I believe, ask for things that need to have a very strong narrative written to defend why it was impacted by COVID or why it will be impacted by COVID, and we need to make sure it can be expensed by December 30th. If somebody is asking for a change in a building structure, can they have that done by December 30th? Those are some of the things we're going back to NDS. They're going back to the applicants and trying to finalize this. So what we're asking for today is approval up to the cap of CARES, sorry, I lost my place here. Completed business applications of $4,399,514.13. That's the maximum that would be eligible on the round one. We anticipate that it'll actually come in less than that because I think in some cases the businesses also put in placeholders. Once we get that finalized, that money will be transferred back for other purposes. Where we're at right now in total is considerably higher. There remains 5.9 million in business ask, large to small. They didn't meet the deadline, or there was pieces dramatically missing from their application that couldn't make a reasonable expectation. It's not to say that some of the applications we were reviewing had all the pieces. That's not what we're saying. They actually entered not applicable in a section of the application, and we're going back and requiring them to tell us why it's not applicable, but they did mention it. And others, they just skipped over it and gave us some information. We're working both sides of the application process. The applications that were accepted as part of what we're calling round one. At the same time, we're looking at getting those applications that would become round two based on any money that's left over from the first rounding of $8.6 million and any future dollars that come. So we're trying to position ourselves to use that as quickly as possible.
So Jean, do you anticipate that the county is going to be able to encumber all of the CARES Act funds of the 8.6 million
Yes,
at the first round?
yes.
And then it's my understanding, I just want to verify. So basically, everyone who filled out their applications completely and entirely basically is going to receive some funding that they have requested. But the ones, because you had given us a long list of people that I saw some had withdrawn, I saw some didn't have amounts in there. So those are considered incomplete, I guess.
If they've withdrawn, there's two halves to that. If you look at the list, one was completed application and then uncompleted application in the lower half. The completed applications are the ones we're reviewing now. Hopefully we can get everybody some assistance if it's proven they're going to pass an audit, which is we're trying to make everybody bulletproof. So they don't have to turn the money back and we don't have to turn the money back. But that second group may have just as legitimate asks, but their application was in a condition that we were unable to make that determination. We're working that side, that second group, trying to get them ready. If money comes available, then the tough decision, how do we spend that? Do
Yeah,
we,
'cause I was surprised that the hospital wasn't on here, but it's my understanding there were sections of their application that perhaps was incomplete and they needed more information.
exactly. That was the only reason. And I've communicated with the hospital directly, given them those sections. NDS is also communicating with the hospital. We're working with them, trying to get that.
Okay, thank you.
Jean, have we passed the date in which other local governments had to spend or encumber their funds and then they come back? Or
No.
is that part of the
That's next Friday.
future
Correct.
process potentially?
That's next Friday. Then we're going to see any money that was, I'm just going to pick a township, no disrespect. Palmyra could only spend half of their funds. It comes back to the county, of which the county can accumulate half of what comes back, which would make us have more funds that could go down to this $5.9 million list.
And Jean, what happens to the other half of that hypothetical Palmyra? Does the state suck that back up?
I believe some of it goes back to the state, but equally my understanding in talking with the auditor is if a city has spent all their money or encumbered it all, they could be eligible to use some of it too. I don't know. I've not read anything that defines with great specificity what happens to the other half. I've been trying to concentrate on our half. So
Sure.
originally, if you remember right, it was 25%. Now it's up to 50.
And my sense is that in talking with the auditor and folks who are, just scrambling to deal with the funding, that initially there was difficulty in figuring out, and of course there was a lack of information about how to spend the funds, but it doesn't seem likely that there will be a lot coming back through that source. Is that your understanding, or are we just really not sure?
I'm not sure. I mean, in talking with some of the township trustees, I know they're able to spend all theirs and others are saying no. There are some that are feeling a high degree of risk from maybe other members of the township board that want to buy something that they believe would probably not be eligible for CARES funding. And now they're in a predicament no different than the county would be. They're going to be asked to pay that money back.
Yeah.
And maybe they don't have the resources to do that. That's a risk factor that they have to weigh. I can say this, if you remember back to the first, and I can investigate this for you, the first information that came out of the state, we had these dates. Date certain, you have to have it encumbered. Date certain, you have to have it spent. But date certainly encumbered, it was to go back to the state. And then the state was going to look to redistribute to those counties that had spent all their money. So if we're in a position to get our money spent here and that is the case as we still stand, there may be more money coming back to us from the state.
Got it.
I've not seen a final issue on that, but we'll check.
Okay. And then today's resolution, these numbers are potential final numbers or ceilings with more back and forth needed with some of these applicants. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think, it's mostly on the business side where maybe application was not complete and we need a narrative to define how you set up your profit and loss and some information that defends it. That's what NDS is going to do for us. And there were in the first section that was provided for the public assistance, the $125,000 amount, there were several laying in there that had zero, that literally they were waiting on supporting documents. If you want to have your city water bill paid, we need documentation, and that has been presented, and that's the reason we're at 219 now. So that number is pretty tight.
So the CARES work group, in order to move forward, you need these two resolutions today
Correct.
to work through this tight timeline.
To get it encumbered, to guarantee that we're using all our money, my recommendation is to pass both these resolutions.
Okay.
Okay. Move the resolution to declare the Board of Portage County Commissioners approval for distribution of CARES funding to business in Portage County who have submitted complete applications.
Okay, I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Jean, this next one is regarding Job and Family Services, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, move the resolution declaring the Board of Portage County Commissioners approval for the distribution of CARES funding to Job and Family Services for distribution public assistance in Portage County to those individuals who have submitted complete applications.
Okay, I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes. Thank you, Jean, and
Thank you.
Thank you so
work
much
group.
for work.
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, I will second.
Roll call, Amy?
Vicky,
Yes.
Sabrina,
Yes.
Kathleen.
Yes.
Have a good